make this holiday season very jolly with Manscaped. The Platinum Package 4.0 sitting under the tree is a guarantee to put anybody in the holiday spirit, and for the perfect stocking stuffer, add the brand new Body Buffer, an incredible body scrubber. With just this one package, you can align your entire hygiene routine. The Platinum Package has the best-selling Performance Package Plus Ultra Premium Body Wash, Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo plus Conditioner, and Ultra Premium Deodorant. Their Lawnmower 4.0 Trimmer, guys, it's my favorite. It features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave, plus it's waterproof. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you go to manscaped.com/Chael or click on the link below. Get your jingle balls ready for the holidays. Oh, they don't know what they got, guys. They don't know what they got. This is very uncommon, but this does happen in the UFC. So, Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa. Now, I'm interested in that fight. I've more than disclosed for you guys that I care about Paulo Costa and that I had a relationship with him going back to 2014. I thought that was a main event. I didn't understand that till today. Paulo Costa just did an interview, and I don't want to get the contract dispute that Paulo's having because I wish Paulo nothing but well. But Paulo was on Ariel's show talking about the contract disputes. He was talking about that fight. He was talking about, hey, Hunter Campbell, I'll still fight the guy. I'll still fight the guy. I don't have a problem with the opponent. I just have a problem with the numbers. Okay, great. Let's set that aside because I don't cast any opinion. I'm sharing with you. It was in this moment that I realized that fight was going to be in Perth. Well, wait a minute. Perth? Paulo Costa versus Robert Whittaker. I mean, that jumps off the page at me. Off the page. That is a main event. Matter of fact, I saw a poster of it. I saw a poster of it which confirms it's a main event. Well, no, not so fast. Sometimes feature matches get their own poster. Apparently, that's what happened here. That was going to be in Perth, which means it was going to be not a main event. If I was to ask you guys a question, do you want to see Robert Whittaker fight Paulo Costa? Do you agree that is going to be a bludgeoning for the ages? Yes. Okay, great. Now I'm going to ask you one more question. Do you want to see that for a potential 25 minutes or 15? I'm going to get different answers. You want a better fight, you see it for 15. I'm going to get different answers, but I'm just sharing with you. I thought that was a feature match. I thought this was one that's been pissed back on as a leverage point to the entire card that I'm headlining. And by the way, I'm going to do it with Whittaker in his backyard, which is going to be great for business. I thought that this was the leverage standpoint. Now I find out it's in Perth. That's not even a main event. This is the second time that fight has been scrapped. The first time was going to be on an ABC card, ended up being Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar, just to put a perspective for you time-wise. But that was going to be Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. It was going to be a main event. So when they remade it, I assumed it would be a main event. I am wrong, a feature match. Not to mention on that card, back to Perth, they're looking to do, and I realize this isn't done either, but they're looking to do Aljamain Sterling, Henry Cejudo. So now you got two title fights top of the bill. Let me come back to my initial point. They don't know what they have. Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev is quite possibly the biggest fight in UFC history. Now, have a big fight in UFC history, you've got to have a big buildup, and you got to have two guys with pretty good voice boxes. I understand that. History says that. Boxing supports that. But you have another category, right? You have the purist. The purist is a real thing. I got a lot of purist in me. Even though I come out and tell, hey, there's a little way to shuffle the deck here, I got a lot of purist in me. So let's go from the purist category, and I would like to challenge you to show me a fight. So now we're going on paper, right? That's what that means. When we're pure, we're going on paper, we're going on resumes. I'd like you to show me a fight in the history of the UFC that is bigger than this. I think you'd have a hard time. What is Islam? Top of my head, he's 17-1. If I'm wrong, he's 16-1. And what is Volkanovski? He's 14-0. It's impossible to know what 16 plus 14 is. It's impossible to figure out what 1 and 0 is. But it sounds like you got a combined record of roughly 30-1. Show me a time you put two guys in the ring that had a combined record of 30-1. I don't think he can do it. Now, you're going to be cut into a very small category right from Jump Street. When it's champion versus champion, you just haven't seen a lot of that. So you're going to bring in the big fights. You're going to bring in the Conor McGregor versus Eddie Alvarez. You're going to bring in, which look good on paper, by the way. That'd be a contender. You're going to bring in the Stipe versus Daniel Cormier, part 1. You're going to be talking about George St. Pierre versus Michael Bisping. You're talking about Henry Cejudo versus TJ Dillashaw. I mean, throw a few at me, guys. What do you got here? Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena, part 2. Bet you never thought of that one, did you? I'm just sharing with you. You instantly, on paper, go into a very small category to start with. So my statement of this could be one of the biggest fights in UFC, I'm already right just to make the statement because the category is so small. Now, I want you to go a little bit further. Show me a combined record of roughly 30 wins and 1 loss. Show me a time in UFC history that you had the number 1 pound-for-pound guy in the world taking on the number 5 pound-for-pound guy in the world. This is a colossally large match. This doesn't have the voice boxes. But neither did Tyson versus Spinks. They had help. The media, the pundits, people told the story for them. It was a surprise. It was a gift. It fell into their lap. But it also went down at that time, which I believe was 1988. Could have been 87. It could have been 99. I remember where I was. I was in Miss Eiler's class at Wood Middle School. I just can't remember the year, and I will share with you that went down at that time as the biggest boxing fight of all time for the purse. It brought in the most money of any heavyweight fight in all time. That surpassed the entire Muhammad Ali era. At that point in time, it had surpassed the George Foreman era. He came back even after that. I'm just sharing with you, like, it won some massive competition. And you couldn't tell me one thing that Spinks did. You couldn't tell me without looking it up if it was Leon Spinks or Michael Spinks. But the media told the story. It was absolutely impressive. Somebody's O has to go. It's a fascinating story. It never stops working. These guys have something on the line that they've agreed to. And we need to make sure we tell the story. Islam is going to put up the world title. Volkanovski is going to put up a number 1 pound-for-pound ranking. That's real. And I thought it was a beautiful and brilliant, I think it was on accident, right? When you say things are brilliant, it usually has to be strategic and the guy has to know ahead of time. I think that he stumbled into this, but either way, by Volkanovski, I got to give him full credit. We're going to fight for Islam's belt. We're going to fight for my ranking. Now both guys got skin in the game. And if the UFC was trying to book Henry and Aljo that night, the UFC was bringing in just as a supporting cast Robert Whittaker, one half of the biggest gate in UFC history and MMA history, and he did it right there in Australia. One half of that they're bringing in versus the Terminator. That's a beautiful, powerful man coming off a big win, right? Business he had with Rockhold. That's a big, big fight, and that's just going to be a supporting cast. My God, they don't know what they have. That's interesting to me, because that's only happened a couple of times. You want to know a night that did double business? Did double what was projected. It was Diaz, Nick, versus George St. Pierre. The PR team kicked in information that they had for their algorithm and kicked out and spit out a projection. But Nick didn't do any media. So that algorithm gets thrown off. Completely thrown off. You can't turn to interviews. You can't turn to Google searches. You can't turn to Yahoos. Nick didn't even show up for the press conference, but they thought this was going to hurt him and fed into the formula. Thought he was going to do 3.5, comes back doing a 650. Double in one night what you thought. I'm just sharing with you, sometimes you don't know what you have. This is a massive fight. Are you guys with me on this? The World Championship is being put up. The number 1 pound-for-pound specimen. Which one do you think is better? You tell me, because Volk's got them both right now. Volk is the world champion and the number 1 ranked guy and completely undefeated. He is taking on the world champion, nearly undefeated, number 5 ranked guy. You tell me who's taking the bigger risk. Not to mention he's going to do it in Perth. Not to mention he's going to do it the first time in his weight class. This is the biggest fight in UFC history, at least on paper. Now, you got to win another category, right? You got to win culture. You got to win the media war. But it has been done before where you had two guys that just didn't have that skill set and the media did it for them. And I'll show you a year called 1988, roughly. I'll show you Spinks versus Tyson. Biggest fight in history, and the media did it for him. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do my part. This is the biggest fight in history. I'm just realizing right now when I realize they tried to book the Terminator versus Robert Whittaker, they don't know what they have. I just want to know if you guys disagree with me. Are you not like me? Are you not on the edge of your seat? Are you not counting down the days for Volkanovski versus Makhachev?